Welcome to the Medium with Celeste. Today we're hoping to make connections with loved ones that help us to heal and move forward.
Nature is something that we all need to get to once in a while, especially if you're an empathic person. What does it mean to be an empathic person? I get asked this question quite a bit. An empathic person is someone who's sensitive to the energy around them, whether it's people or nature, animals, or just energy they don't see. Empathy can cause a lot of problems for people. I like to explain empathy as when you're having a great day and then you go in a crowd of people and all of a sudden you feel angry or upset or hurt and you don't know why. Or you find that your mood shifts quickly even though nothing's changed around you. Empathy can really mess up somebody's day when they're not aware that they're empathic or that they're sensitive to energies around them. The other problem with empathic people is people always say, why don't spirits come to visit me? Why aren't there spirits around me? Spirits are highly attracted to empathic people, and empathic people are usually attracted to the paranormal or interested in things like that because they're naturally have the ability to resonate towards variance in vibrations. Being an empathic person, one of the most important things that I tell them to do is to recognize that you're that way, so that when you're suddenly angry and nothing has changed in your life, you can actually say, this is not mine. I don't own this. I send this back to the universe for cleansing and blessings and send it back to whoever this belongs to. It's a habit that's hard to get into, but once you do, you're able to recognize when things aren't yours. The other thing I recognize and recommend people do is I always tell people it's important to take time to ground, to balance, to take time to recognize what's going on in your own systems. So how are you feeling today? Are you having a good day? Are you having a difficult morning? Are you behind schedule? Are you not feeling well? Taking count of everything going on physically, emotionally, and spiritually before you start your day will help you learn to find out when things are not your own. Being an empathic person may also mean that you attract a lot of negative people to you, a lot of negative energies. And with that, the more you can ground and balance, the better off you are. The more you can recognize that, oh, I don't mean to attract narcissistic, self-serving, negative people in my life, but I am. Why? Probably because they see you as a sensitive, compassionate soul. They're naturally, their soul, maybe not their ego, but their soul is naturally looking for somebody to help them heal. So you're gonna attract all kinds of people. A lot of people that I know are empathic often say to me, why do I have such a crappy life? Or why are things so bad for me all the time? Why are the people around me always taking and never giving? And unfortunately, because you have that natural energy, that natural aura, even if they don't realize that's why they're being attracted to you, that's usually the reason they're being drawn to you, is because whether you like it or not, you're a natural healer. And you may find, like, if you go out somewhere and you're sitting on, let's say you're sitting on a bench at the park, somebody's gonna come up and sit next to you and start talking to you about their problems, and you're gonna be like, okay, but you're gonna still try to respond to them and still try to use compassion because you are an empathic person. Oftentimes, empathic people shut down and become the opposite of kind, and they become angry and walled off. And that's okay too, but it's not the healthy way to deal with it. So if you feel like you have signs and symptoms of an empathic person, it's not too crazy to start a more active process of meditation, a more active process of taking care of yourself and taking stock. with that, you'll find that you have so much more peace and so much more centeredness in your life. And it'll mean that people who will use you and make you less than what you want to be will start falling off of your life. Sometimes that's family, unfortunately, and sometimes some of our best friends we find out don't have our best interests in mind. So be patient with the process of healing and finding yourself through your empathic journey. Don't be afraid to take classes and figure out exactly how you're going to maintain your own happiness within this realm.
Welcome back to the studio. Today we're here with Nancy. She has come in for a reading. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
And what I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to ground and balance a little before we get started. So just give me a moment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So when I tap into your energy, I see that most of your life you've tried to do right by people. So I need to honor that first. I feel like you've always, probably most of your life, you've given more than you've ever gotten back. I just see you giving. But I feel like now you might be getting some stuff back finally. I feel like you do have some good people who try to do for you also. Hold on. I have someone on your dad's side talking to me, so hold on 1 second, because I started talking and then they interrupted me, so give me one moment. I don't know if that's their nature, but... Okay, so your dad steps in, and I need to honor him that he stepped in, but he said not a person you necessarily want to talk to, or he wouldn't be the first person you want to talk to. Does that make sense?
I love my dad, and I miss my dad very much. And what had happened is, right after I took off for Fort Myers, Florida, it was like about a month later that he passed away, and I was so heartbroken that I wasn't there for his funeral.
I will tell her. He said to me, you have to live your own life, though, and that's what you were doing. So I'm going to honor that. But he said to me, he goes, I know you have a lot of people you want to talk to today. You have a lot of people who love you that are over here. I'm listening. But he's funny because... So I have to give this to you. Just like, I don't want to interrupt him when he's talking to me. And so I know that sounds weird, but as he's talking to me, I don't want to interrupt him. I don't know if he finds that disrespectful, but I'm trying to let him talk. But he talks about having had, it's almost like having had a surprise. Like he didn't know he was gonna die when he did. And he wished that, he knows that if you could have been there, you would have been there. So I do need to give that to you.
Yes,
it feels like
definitely.
it came on suddenly or something. And he said to me, you guys had a good family, though. You guys had a good time in your family. He shows, he calls it a status quo family. There wasn't a lot of chaos in your family with him. He said he tried to be a good dad, not just a father. So hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Like he tried to interact with his kids. He tried to do things with you guys and let you guys have a good childhood.
Well, I was the only one.
Okay.
No sisters, no brothers. It was just me.
So you were spoiled.
No.
You were spoiled with love. He's a good guy, though. I don't, like, salt of the earth, just pure-hearted.
He was well loved by everybody.
He jokes and he says, yeah, the funeral had more people there than I remember. But he said to me, he keeps talking about, you've definitely done your own thing in life. You've definitely taken your own roads and you've made your own life. And he said, I'm proud of everything you've done. And he said, I'm just sorry that you're struggling now. So I need to give that to you. He said, I wish there was more that I could do, but I do hear you talking to me. Because I hear you talking to him when things are bad. You talk to your dad.
Yep.
Does that make sense? And he said, he jokes and says you loved him more than mom.
That's true. Very true.
And he said your mom always had issues.
Yes.
Like she wasn't really good at connecting or having affection or, he said making a strong bond with you. Your mother seems kind of walled off, and I don't know how else
Yes.
to explain that. But he keeps pointing to her head, so I don't know if she had mental health issues.
Yes, she did.
That she battled with. And he said, aside from a frontal lobotomy, there wasn't much we were going to do for her.
Yeah, she was in the psych ward a few different times. She tried suicide.
Yeah, so he said, like, we couldn't do anything, so I always tried so hard to overcompensate or compensate for the loss of your mother being a mom. He tried very hard to make a strong relationship with you, so you had somebody during those times. Because it feels like there was, with her, there was chaos, but it feels like that, I will explain it to her that way. It's like that's outside over here because you always had your dad to kind of keep you safe within here.
Right.
And I don't know how else to explain that to you other than he said your life was pretty status quo and not that crazy. I'm looking at a crazy situation with your mother, but I feel like that didn't, when he says it was status quo, is because he made your life as good around, even though that was going on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
It's
it
a very
does.
weird way to say it. But he said to me, we never could fix her. We never figured out how to fix her. So I need to honor that. Your mom has also passed.
Yes.
And he said, she's over there and she's better. So I need to give that to you.
That's a miracle.
He said sometimes the only place we get healed is through death. And that's what I feel like. I feel like through death, she's healed. She's no longer in that brain of hers. Her brain was backwards and upside down.
It was.
And he said to me, but you didn't get that. You didn't get a backwards, upside down brain.
No, I did not. I took after my dad.
He said, you got the smart brain. But he said to me, your father was a good-looking man.
Yes, he was.
And I need to honor that. It's funny because I'd love to say that everybody's good-looking, but it's not true. But he's not overly tall, so he's not like 6 foot.
Yep.
He's like 5'6"
Yep.
to 5'7", maybe.
He was my height. He was about 5'6", 5'7".
And he's-
Typical Italian,
Yeah.
you know, Sicilian, dark hair, nice
he-
complexion.
But he has beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
Like that's what the first thing that I saw about him was his eyes. Like when he came in, like all of his emotion is in his eyes.
Yeah.
And he said to me that he really did love your mother.
I know, but I don't know how.
He tried so hard because he said if I could tell you why, it's because I knew she was broken, but she wasn't broken because she wanted to be. She didn't want to be the way she was, and so he was always hoping to help her. He said he always worried about leaving you alone with her and leaving you guys alone.
Yes.
And he tried his best not to let that happen too often. And he's like, I'm sorry for the times you had to be with mom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she took a knife and put it right up to my stomach. And she was gonna, all of a sudden she just dropped it and started praying.
Yeah.
But she hurt me in so many physical ways.
She's very, he said to me, he's like, I did the best. I hope you know that I did the best I could to keep you safe. He did the best he could. He couldn't be there all the time. He wished
No.
he could have.
No, he worked long hours. He was a salesman, and he
Yeah.
was on the road from morning till night. I didn't see that much of him, because a lot of times by the time he got home, I was already in bed.
He goes to me, he goes, again, she didn't want to be who she was. She fought off as much as she could her brain. That's the only way I could say it. Her brain is demented. Your dad talks about your grandmother, his mom, and you met her.
Yes, but
Okay.
I was only
You were
2
little.
or 3 years old when
Yeah.
she passed away. She had a stroke.
The two of them are together, so I need to give that to you, your grandma and your dad.
That's
and,
good to know.
And your grandma comes in, and I know you don't know her, but she gives you a big hug, so I'm going to give that to you. She said, I wish you and I could have gotten to know each other.
Me too.
All your stories you've heard about your grandma from your dad, she sounds like she was a good person.
Yes, she was.
And she said, I wished I could have done more to save you guys. I wish I was still there. Because I feel like if she was still here when you were a child, she would have intervened or would have done something to intervene and keep you safe.
Yes.
So I need to give that to you.
She would have. She was paralyzed on one side of her body, and I used to run around her in circles, and she used to try to catch me, but because she was paralyzed,
She couldn't move very fast.
she couldn't.
But she said to me, she said, I just want you to know that I loved you, and I just wish that if I had been able to and I had known what I know now, things would have been very different for you. And I'm sorry that you went through everything that you did. But she said, you've become an amazing woman, and you're an amazing mom. You worked very hard to raise your children with compassion and love and direction.
I love my son. He's 55 years old, but
He's still your
I
baby.
never hang up without saying I love you, Pete.
No, he's a good. She said he's a good kid. You didn't do so bad, did you?
He is a good kid.
Your dad talks about your mother really wants to come in and talk to you. So I promise I won't let her talk long because I know you really don't want to talk to her, but I have to honor spirit. So can you just give me a moment with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. My turn.
She picks up she seems very I don't know, I don't want to say I'm listening. She seems very melancholy right now. Probably not the mother you would know, okay?
Not at all.
But in life, I don't know if she was always angry or she suffered from a lot of anger. But she talks about always yelling. Like,
Yes.
It wasn't put that down. It was like yell, put that down, and like coming at you. Everything she did towards you was aggressive in nature. Nothing seems loving. I don't see hugs unless it would benefit her somehow. Like she wouldn't hug you unless she was, doing it for show. In other words, like she's not affectionate at all.
She never was towards me.
And she said to me, she wants you to know that it wasn't about you. It was never that she hated you. And she said, I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to stop. She's like, and I'd go to therapy and I'd go to these places and they'd say they were going to help me and nothing helped. And she said, I'm sorry I hurt you so much. And I can't change it now, and I can't fix the damage I caused that's here now. Because it's not about the physical damage she caused. It's about the memories that are stuck here. Mm-hmm. And she said, I can't take them away, and I wish I could. I wish that when I passed, I could erase myself from you so that you can only have good memories left. So I need to give that to you. She said to me, her life was always broken. I don't see her parents as being the catalyst to why she was the way she was. I don't think they helped, but I think she was always not right here. So I'm going to give that to you, okay? Did you know your grandma on Mom's side?
I knew my grandmother, but what happened is when my mother was about 2 years old, her real father, my grandmother's first husband, just walked away and never came back.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother got remarried.
To a not so great person.
No, he tried to sexually molest my mother.
Your mom said
He treated
to me,
her terrible.
Your mom said to me, I always struggled. I always struggled with finding my self-worth. I always struggled with a love, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to love you.
No, she didn't. I was 54 years old when I called her when I was living in Fort Myers, Florida, and I said to her, Mumsy, I said, that's what we used to call Mumsy and Popsy.
Yeah.
And I said, Mumsy, I said, how come you never told me you love me? I'm 54 years old. And her answer was, well, we treated you all right. I said, you treated the dogs better than me.
Well,
I said, one dog, I said, the dog's got a pound of M&Ms a week and the squirrel's got a pound of Oreo cookies. I said, and my son and I weren't allowed to touch either.
yeah. She said to me, she said, I need to just let you know that I'm sorry. I was not capable of loving you. I wasn't capable of loving your father. I wasn't capable of loving myself. And she said, I'm very sorry. And I don't want you to hold on to all those bad memories. I want you to remember the good ones with your dad or the good things that happened to you in life. She's like, I can't take it back. I can't fix it. Mm-hmm. She said you were married. Okay. And then you're not with your husband anymore.
No.
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone all right.
Okay.
Gone down the road a couple miles.
He's not passed away?
No.
The
one I had my kids by, he died in 1985.
Okay. And then your second marriage you got rid of?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he wasn't good.
No.
He was a bad man. It was like dealing with your mother.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Your first husband wasn't a horrible man, but he too had issues.
Yes, he had issues.
She said, you spent your whole life trying to find somebody to fix because you could never fix your mother. And she said, but you deserve good now. So when people try to do good for you, embrace it. Say thank you.
I always do.
You know, and don't tell people they don't have to. You know, allow yourself to be treated with the respect that you deserve. She's giving you the look, like. What was your your husband's name that you had the children with that you were married? Because he's standing behind you with his hands on your shoulder.
Oh, Lord.
Which creeps me out, but.
Jeffrey.
Okay. Was he big? Like he just feels oppressive or like he's looming over you. Was that normal with him?
He used to beat me something wicked.
Okay. He said to me, he goes, aren't you glad I died? He said, that was your saving grace.
Yeah, because he's threatened to kill me so many times. He was going to throw acid in my face so nobody else would ever look at me.
He said to me, me being gone gave, you said your son's name's Pete? Mm-hmm. Pete a chance to grow up to be a better person.
He's a wonderful person.
And he said to me, I need to tell her that I see all the pain I caused her. And during the time when he was here, he relished hurting people. It wasn't just you. It was a lot of people. He hurt animals. He didn't care. He was sociopathic.
That's right.
He died. You two were still married?
We were divorced.
Or just after you divorced?
We were divorced.
Okay. But
he was in prison 5 times.
Okay, because he still acts like you were his back then. Very possessive.
Very.
Okay.
Very.
He said to me, he goes, you always said, I think he enjoys it. And he wants to admit that he did back then. And he said, you didn't deserve it because you always did everything you could to make me happy. Like it was always, what can I do to keep things calm and peaceful, and what can I do to make you love me? He's like, I was never gonna love anybody. And he said, I'm sorry. He goes, your mother and I are good company for each other, aren't we?
Yeah.
He said, you deserve happiness right now. And he wants you to find happiness. He wants you to enjoy the little moments and enjoy being free from all of the constraints from your mother, from him, from your ex, like your other ex. Like, enjoy your life now and be free, because you've had nothing but broken people other than your dad
Yep.
around you. And you didn't deserve it. You deserve better than that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Your dad comes back in and he goes, I'm sorry they came in. I know they weren't people you wanted to talk to.
No,
He's
that's
like,
all right.
but they owe you more than an apology. They technically owe you your life back.
That's
But
right.
we can't really give that back to you. But know that when they get over there, they have to experience all the pain that they caused, and they have to witness and feel all of that. So they know what they did.
No, I'm glad that they realized what
Yeah.
they did.
So I'm going to leave that with you, and we're going to have to wrap up. So I'm going to leave that with you, with your dad giving you a big hug. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Let's leave on a happy note.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. And oftentimes, many of us come from traumatic pasts, but it doesn't mean that has to be your future. And as with Nancy, she has a son who loves her, and she does have good things that have come to her in her life. Just remember, every day, try to find the beauty in something that's around you.